Good morning. Thank you for joining me this morning mindfulness practice. Let's take a deep breath in and get settled. I encourage you to put away any other distractions. Just sit quietly, calm your central nervous system. Forget about any past failings or fears or what you did yesterday. Today is a brand new day, and we get to think things into being. Thought is a powerful force. It is our most powerful force. It's what differentiates us from other life forms. James Allen said, "Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass." James Allen wrote those words over 100 years ago. In those days, people wrote mostly in the masculine. So he says, man is mind. He doesn't mean just men, he means all of mankind. Doesn't matter what gender you are. Study these words. These words describe the law of thinking. Thinking is a powerful force. It is the most powerful force we're capable of. I studied with Bob Proctor, and he quoted James Allen often. And in his book, The Art of Living, Bob Proctor talks about Archibald MacLeish, a Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright who wrote a play called The Secret of Freedom. And he had a character stand up in the play, and he said, "The only thing about a man is that the only thing that is a man is his mind. Everything else you can find in a pig or a horse." It's a funny line, but it's true. Everything else you can find in a pig or a horse. We have our 5 intellectual faculties. We can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So can pigs and horses and dogs and cats. Thinking is unique to humans. Thinking is a very, very powerful form of energy. Thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space. Take a few moments. Do you ever just sit quietly, whether you call it prayer or meditation? Do some deep breathing exercises and block out your 5 senses. Sit in a quiet room where you won't be disturbed, turning off all distractions. When you start to do something like that, your body is so used to going all the time, your mind is so used to racing all the time, you seem to hear every sound outside the room. You start to notice smells, and maybe your stomach's growling, you want to eat something. You can feel pain in your body or an itch somewhere that you want to scratch. It's so funny when you actually sit for 5 minutes to calm your mind down. It starts racing all over the place. It takes practice to just sit, even for 2 minutes, training your mind, your brain to slow down. Thinking is a very, very powerful form of energy, and thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space. Bob Proctor refers to several points that Raymond Hollywell made in his fabulous book, Working with the Law. He said, "To the average person, life is an enigma, a deep mystery, a complex and incomprehensible problem, or appears so. But it is very simple if one holds the key. Mystery is only another name for ignorance. All things are mysterious when they're not understood, but when we understand life, it no longer appears mysterious." Bob Proctor says, until he was 26 years old, life was a real mystery. It was exactly how Hollywell described it, an incomprehensible problem, and I had a lot of problems. But then I began to study this information. It took me a while, but as I started to adopt these concepts and adapt my mind to them, my life started to change. My problems started to disappear. I started to earn a lot more money. I was living in a healthy body, very rarely getting ill. I started to attract different people into my life, more interesting people. You see, the truth was that I was just becoming a more interesting person. A person is interesting because they're interested. You see, as we start thinking powerful thoughts, everything starts to change. Raymond Hollywell also said, man, remember, man and woman, humans, man is a progressive being, a creature of constant growth, before whom lies an illimitable ocean of progress to be navigated and conquered only by development and culture of his inherent powers. The progress of the individual is largely determined by his ruling mental state, because the mind is the basic factor and governing power in the entire life of man. Attention should be given to the predominant mental state, for it will regulate the action and direction of all one's forces, faculties, and powers, the sum total of which will inevitably determine many particular experiences and the personal fate. You see, the ruling state is like the CPU in a computer. The central processing unit is the ruling state of the computer. It continues. The ruling state of mind is made up of various mental attitudes which the individual adopts towards things, events, and life in general. If his attitudes are broad in mind, optimistic in tone, and true to life, his predominant mental state will correspond and exhibit a highly constructive and progressive tendency. As almost all the forces of the personality function through the conscious mind in one way or another, And as the daily mental and physical acts are largely controlled by the conscious mind, it is obvious that the leading mental state will determine the direction in which the powers of the individual are to proceed. The ruling mental state is so important. It really is everything. I know you and I have been trained to believe that we've got to change what's going on out there, that we've got to fix this and fix that. We have literally been programmed to live through our senses, to go by what we see, hear, smell, taste, or touch. There's been little thought given to our higher faculties. We have been gifted with a will, perception, imagination, intuition, memory, and reason. These are things that humans have that are unique. It all begins inside. Our inner faculties are where it really happens. You don't have to worry about changing what's going on out there. It doesn't matter if it's your bank account or the health of your body. As you take over the power of thought, you're going to find that the X-rays will show a different version of you. The bank account will show a different balance. In fact, everything in life will begin to change. Here's what Raymond Hollywell says about thought. Thought is a subtle element. Although it is invisible to the physical sight, it is an actual force or substance as real as electricity, light, heat, water, even stone. We are surrounded by a vast ocean of thought stuff through which our thoughts pass like currents of electricity or tiny streaks of light or musical waves. You can flash your thoughts from pole to pole, completely around the world, many times in less than a second. Scientists will tell us that thought is compared with the speed of light. They tell us our thoughts travel at the rate of 186,000 miles per second. Our thought travels 930,000 times faster than the sound of our voice. No other force or power in the universe yet known is as great or as quick as thought. It is a proven fact scientifically that the mind is a battery of force, the greatest of any known element. Isn't that incredible? The thinker is like the computer processor. When it is finely tuned, it works really, really fast. You can think, and what you think ultimately produces the results in your life. It's a universal law. The thoughts that you think and turn over to your emotional mind, you think with your conscious mind. So when you turn your thoughts over to your emotional mind, which is your subconscious mind, by law, that controls the vibratory rate of your body. Your body is a mass of magnetic energy. If you put your body in front of an infrared camera in a completely dark room, you would just see it as a glistening, radiating form. And if you could hear your body, It would sound like a symphony, yet to the naked eye, it just looks like a thing. But it's not. Your body is one of the most magnificent instruments on the planet. You live in your body. You're not your body. It's what you think that is going to dictate what your body is going to do. We all know that our actions produce our results. If we want to change our results, we have to change our actions. But if you don't start with thought, your actions are not going to change. Well, we can change temporarily, but the thoughts that you think repeatedly become fixed in your subconscious mind. And those are the thoughts that are going to determine what happens in your life, what shows up. Your thinking is the cause of the results that show up in your life. This is what Raymond Hollywell says. Some think that we must deal with two forces. That is, to attract the good, we must do away with the bad. But that's not true. For example, if we are cold, we do not work with cold and heat alike in order to get warm. We build a fire, and as we gather around that fire, we enjoy the heat that is extended from it, and we become warm. As we build up warmth, the cold disappears, for cold is the absence of heat. To be warm, we give our whole thought to those things which tend to create warmth. We ignore the cold in thinking of heat, and we bring forth heat. Prosperity and poverty are not two things. They are merely two sides of one and the same thing. They are but one power. You can use them rightly or wrongly. We cannot think of plenty and then worry about the unfavorable conditions that may seem apparent. We think about plenty, and as we think of it, its opposite, lack, will become absorbed or disappear. All our thoughts must be directed to that one thing which we desire in order that our desire may be fulfilled. Our method is not manipulating two powers, not dealing with good and evil, right and wrong, prosperity and poverty, but as we follow the law of good and dwell upon that which is good, we shall bring to pass all good things. If you want to change the results in your life, think about how you're using your mind. You cannot push away poverty by thinking about poverty and focusing on debt. You must start to think about prosperity, abundance, what you would love to bring into your life, and feeling that feeling as if you are prosperous. You don't get healthy by thinking about how sick you are. You focus on being fit, active, strong, healthy, with all your bodily functions working perfectly, having a calm, relaxed digestive system that easily handles all the food that you take in. Focusing on truth, focusing on health, focusing on your normal state of being, and that is healthy and prosperous. Aldous Huxley said there is only one corner of the universe that you can be certain of improving, and that's your own self. All the things that we want to change outside are just a reflection of what's going on inside. That might be a big idea, but when you study everything you've heard about choosing your thoughts and your thoughts controlling your life are true. You become what you think about. That is the law of thinking. Bob Proctor says the way you are programmed genetically dictates whether you are going to operate predominantly from the left or right hemisphere of your brain. The right hemisphere of the brain is the creative side. It deals with colors, pictures, music, feelings, and so forth. The left hemisphere is more linear, more analytic. It's more intellectual and analytical. The person who is dominated by the left hemisphere may have more difficulty with this concept to start off with. First of all, we're raised to believe that's where your answers are. When we were little kids, we're told we've got to figure it out. We go to our parents and say, I want this. And they'd say, well, how are you going to get that? As a child, you have no idea how you're going to get it. So we're left with the impression that we can't get it because we can't figure it out. When children get older and they ask about something they really want to do, the parents say, where's the money going to come from? Of course, you don't know, so you're left with the impression that you have to give up your dream. And maybe you let go of a dream because you were programmed at a very early age. You can't figure it out, so you just give up on it. That's called environmental conditioning, and it's rampant in our society. If we want something and we can't see where the money's going to come from, we're programmed to believe that we should forget about it. As a result, when most people think of a goal, if they can't see how it's going to happen, they won't even set a goal. They keep backing up until they've got it all planned out, and then they say, okay, I think I can do this. Well, that's not setting a goal at all. That's aiming for something you already know how to do. But there's no inspiration in going after something you think you can do. You've got to go after something you want. Now, you may wonder why I say setting a goal that you know you can do isn't really setting a goal, because you have to think about why you're setting the goal in the first place. Are you setting the goal to get a car, to get a job, to get a house? No, you're setting the goal to raise your conscious awareness. That's really the purpose of a goal. It's to bring more of you to the surface. And when you do, you enjoy everything more. Just setting a smart goal, a goal that you know how to attain, is like dying. It's not inspiring. You won't get much support from others. You'll probably quit. But when you set a goal that inspires you, it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter if other people support you. You're turned on. It sets something on fire inside of you. It's the way to live. You set a goal that inspires you, that you would love. And when you sit quietly and think about what it looks like, what it feels like, maybe you can even bring in some of your five senses. Maybe your goal even has a taste or a smell. If you've been thinking about a house or a car or a trip, Get into the feeling of it, not just what it looks like, but how you feel being there in your imagination. Plant the seeds. You start thinking with your conscious mind, but as you start to get emotionally involved with a beautiful vision, with a goal of what you would truly love, you start to get relaxed and creative. New ideas start to come to you. When you think of being healthy and happy, in love, prosperous, not just getting a material thing, but how does it feel to be living in that house you've always wanted? What would it mean to you personally? What would it do to your self-confidence? I'm not just talking about ego and image, but how do you feel when you're proud of where you live, when you're happy and content, when you're comfortable, when you're not worried about debt or bills, when you are free to think about what do you love? You might start with who do you love? What or who can you bring into your heart that fills you up with joy, with peace, with love, with gratitude? Just thinking about that warms your heart. When you start thinking at a higher frequency, you flip your mind over to a different frequency because you think on frequencies. The answer to your problem is on a higher frequency than where the problem is. You've got to keep raising your level of conscious awareness. Dr. Michael Beckwith said, consciousness is being aware that you are aware. That's such a beautiful way of putting it. Consciousness is being able to truly think about what you're thinking about. Being grateful for who you are, for what you have, for living a life that you truly love. See in your mind's eye, doing what you really want to be doing, living the way you truly desire to live, planting that in your subconscious mind, getting so emotionally involved with it that you cause your body to start taking different action. And as you take different actions in a higher vibrational energy, you attract everything you need to change your environment, to change your circumstances. You are becoming the person that has that vision. You raise your conscious level of awareness when you change the way you think. And when you change the way you think, everything around you changes. In order to change your results, you have to change the way you think. Focus on what you want. Focus on feeling as if you're already there. And write down some action steps that you will take that will change your outside environment. Create a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing. And I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7.